Since its introduction in 1994, the Lange from Lange Söhne has become an iconic representation of Germany's high-end watchmaking. And in this video, we want to provide 4 arguments for why, in our opinion, it's the ideal contemporary dress watch. Let's get started. But before we do that, welcome to the Content Promoter. This is Megan, and if you're new to this channel, please subscribe to be updated for more upcoming videos and finish this video to know more about Lange 1. We must thus analyze how this watch was primarily responsible for the historic rebirth of the brand during the 1990s, before moving on to point 2 of my assertion. Currently, Lange's history may be divided into 2 separate 177-year-long periods or episodes. The German city of Glashütte was established in 1845 by Ferdinand Adolf Lange. The current ALS that we know today replaced the old Lange after the Soviet Union annexed East Germany in 1990, thanks to Walter Lange, Ferdinand Adolf Lange's great-grandson, with assistance from renowned watch industry executive Günther Blümlein. The brand presented its first release of 4 new watches following 4 years of study and the largest investment by a single organization into Glashütte's economy following the German reunification. The Lange 1, of course, the rectangular cabaret, the Pour le Mérite, a commanding tourbillon, the traditional saxonia, and other timepieces. And while the launch of the datograph in 1999 served as a firm declaration that the brand was here to stay as we entered the 21st century, it was the Lange 1 that signaled the return of both Glashütte and Lange as a brand. The Lange 1 has produced a lot of modifications and complications throughout the years, but has always remained true to the fundamental design principles that have made the watch a classic. This brings me to my second argument. I think it's important to recognize the Lange 1 design's effort to strike a balance between an information display and unrestricted eloquence. Using this pink gold Lange 1 as an example, it's important to remember that the watch is not large, measuring 38.5mm across, 9.9mm thick, and 46.8mm from lug to lug, including the curved lug soldered to the case. The Lange 1 fits almost any wrist and looks stunning nearly every time. Despite having a reduced surface area to work with, some tactics must be used to bring the dial together without making it appear cluttered. Nevertheless, it manages to take an idea that some could term asymmetry and make it feel anything but by effectively using negative space and symmetrically balancing each fundamental dial element. The idea of asymmetrical grouping elements or things into a single image to look symmetrical or balanced is known as asymmetrical balance in the worlds of photography and painting. For instance, the trees and the bright moon in Van Gogh's Starry Night are in opposition to one another, despite their radically different shapes, and within the frame, they help work together to cohabit in peace. Likewise, every dial component in the Lange 1 has a corresponding point of balance in the design, making this same concept obvious. Despite the curve of the text mimicking the curvature of the 12-hour display, the enormous dial on the left side equals the significant dates, the sub-seconds, and the battery reserves. The brand text adheres to the same guidelines, with the ALS marking placed at 12 in perfect contrast to the Topol Federer house and curvature of the sub-seconds, which mirrors the brand word mark's distance from the center. This meticulous commitment to design has never faltered, even when many complications are included. Even though it occasionally goes unnoticed at first glance, our eyes, which are accustomed to a world where uniformity is uncommon, find this undeniably attractive. Once you've been able to tear your eyes away from the dial, we can start talking about point 3. The case and feel of the Lange 1 on the wrist and the movement's presentation are class-leading for German watchmaking. Traditional German watchmaking with superb fit and finish. The Lange 1 feels like it has nothing to prove, unlike many other brands that reach for ostentatious, broader case profiles as billboards for their watchmaking. The case is solid gold, subdued with a traditional shape, narrow rounded bezel, delicate facet architecture at the lugs, a traditional push-pull crown at 3, and a rectangular date pusher at 10. The Lange one also uses a well-made alligator strap with a subtle. The dial and case are certainly well done, but Lange is known as much for its movement design, production, and finishing as it is for its mass-produced watches. The L121.1 is a superb illustration of this concept when viewed through a secondary sapphire exhibition caseback. Built from 368 separate parts and beating at 3 Hz or 21,600 vibrations per hour, this movement controls the hours, minutes, hacking seconds, an oversized big date function designed to resemble the clock above the stage of the Dresden Opera House. It also provides a power reserve indicator to track the watch's respectable 72-hour power reserve, which was made possible by its twin-barrel system. Except for the huge date, which is an alluring rapid set function that is operated with a rectangular case pusher that is a joy to use. Time is set just like any other watch at the second position of the crown. Other Lange models are a visual feast, including the Eternal Datograph, an almost unbelievable variety of bridges, wheels, screws, chattons, levers, and gems present in a complicated display of every imaginable finishing style. The dial of the Lange one is a manifestation of Germanic tradition. If a watch like the Datograph Perpetual is the utmost approach of Lange's movement finishing the product, it still delivers a well-finished product. Most of the caliber is concealed behind a wide 3/4 plate. It takes up most of the case back and is embellished with glass huta, gold-filled engraving, several heat-tempered blue screw heads, and 8 eye-catching gold chattons with correspondingly visible jewels at the left side. The balance and bridge for the escapement wheel pivot are also tastefully finished with anglage on their edges, with one notch visible at the base plate. As with the Lange one custom, the balance is entirely hand-etched in the brand style, with minor variances between specific instances depending on the watchmaker, and serving as a kind of artisanal hallmark, often only found in exclusive independent watchmaking. The precision of this caliber, which top watchmaking companies frequently overlook, is awe-inspiring. And now for the last reason. The Lange one is possibly the best modern premium dress watch. We have the reality that no one can help but try to copy this watch because it is so apparent. The Lange one has catalyzed the region's revitalization during the 1990s and has represented a fundamental component of German watchmaking and the industry as a whole, in addition to characterizing the brand. Regarding dress watches, luxury icons like the JLT Reverso and Cartier Tank have something distinctive that makes them stand out and be recognized by those in the know from across the room. However, in contrast to watches that rely on their case profile to stand out, the Lange one's distinctive dial design makes it obvious even from a distance. There are certainly substitutes that can attempt to mimic its allure, but those who appreciate its inventive design are reminded of why this watch is rightly named. There is just one. And that's it. What do you think of Lange one? Let me know in the comments section down below. Again, this is Megan, and if you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe. But before you leave, if you want to know more about luxurious watches like Lange one, click and watch this video here. See you there.